All right, let's talk about something we've all unfortunately probably experienced. That awful, miserable sickness we just call stomach flu or maybe food poisoning. You're just completely wiped out, wondering, what did I eat? Who gave this to me? And more importantly, how do I make this stop? Well, today we're going to talk about the incredible technology that is finally ending all of that guesswork.
Because this is the question, right? This is what's running through your head when you get hit with something like this. Is this just some 24-hour bug that's going to pass? Or is this something more serious, something that actually needs a specific kind of treatment? For the longest time, that answer was just a big, frustrating question mark for everybody, patients and doctors included.
And yeah, that brings us right into our first section here, the guessing game illness. Because historically, that is exactly what it's been. A total game of chance, trying to figure out the cause based on symptoms that all look infuriatingly alike.
I mean, just look at this list. It's so familiar, isn't it? The watery diarrhea, the nausea, the cramps, the fever. These are the classic signs of what doctors call acute gastroenteritis. But here's the problem. These symptoms don't tell you which microscopic invader is actually causing all this chaos in your body. You know, for decades, figuring out the specific cause was this slow and honestly, often inconclusive process. Your doctor had to rely on your symptoms, ask you a ton of questions about what you ate, where you traveled, maybe run a bunch of different tests that took days or even weeks to come back. And sometimes they'd still find nothing. It was all a process of elimination, and a lot of the time, just a best guess.
But here's the thing. That is all changing. We are moving from an age of guesswork into an age of absolute precision. Thanks to modern technology, we can now get a definitive, specific answer, and we can get it fast.
Which leads us to the hero of our story today, a tool that acts like a molecular detective. It's this amazing piece of tech that can crack the case right at the genetic level. And this is it, the gastrointestinal PCR panel. Now, the key thing to understand here is that it's a single test that screens for a whole lineup of potential culprits at once. Instead of searching for one bad guy at a time, it checks for the genetic fingerprints of the most common bacteria and viruses, all from one simple sample. So, if this panel is our detective, let's meet the microbial lineup it's trained to find. Think of this as the most wanted list for all the germs that are trying to ruin your week.
And this test covers the whole range of offenders. On the virus side, you've got the infamous Norovirus, the cruise ship virus, and Rotavirus, which is a major threat, especially to young kids. Then you have the bacteria. A lot of these are foodborne, like Salmonella from that undercooked chicken, or Campylobacter. Others, like Shigella, spread super easily from person to person. Think daycares. And then there's C. difficile, a really nasty one that produces toxins and absolutely requires a specific treatment plan. This one test can spot any of them.
Okay, so we've met the suspects. Now, let's get into the really cool part, the high-tech forensic method our molecular detective uses to actually identify them. This right here is the secret to its power. See, the test isn't trying to find a whole living germ, which can be like finding a needle in a haystack. Instead, it's looking for its unique genetic code, its DNA or RNA. It's basically looking for a genetic fingerprint. This makes it incredibly sensitive and super precise. It can find an infection even when the number of germs is really, really low. The process itself is just brilliant. So after the genetic material is pulled out of a sample, the magic happens. It's a step called amplification. The PCR technology acts like a genetic photocopier. If it finds even one tiny piece of a pathogen's DNA, the machine goes to work and makes millions, even billions of copies of that specific genetic fragment. It takes a signal that was way too small to see and amplifies it until it's so loud and clear it's impossible to miss. And then the system detects those copies and tells you exactly which pathogen's fingerprint is there. And here's the real game changer. The turnaround time for all of this incredible detective work? Just 3 days. That's it. 3 days to go from being miserable and uncertain to having a definitive, actionable diagnosis. So 3 days is fast, but why does that speed, that precision, matter so much in the real world? It's not just about knowing for the sake of knowing. This is about fundamentally changing health outcomes. Well, the difference is just night and day. Think about it. The old way was all guesswork. That often led to doctors prescribing antibiotics that don't even work on viruses, which can cause its own set of problems. It meant a higher risk of serious complications and the illness continuing to spread. The new way? It means a precise diagnosis that leads to targeted treatment. If it's a virus, you focus on hydration and support. If it's a specific bacteria, you get the right antibiotic.
This helps stop an outbreak in its tracks. And let's be clear, the stakes here can be really, really high. An untreated or mistreated GI infection can lead to severe dehydration, which is especially dangerous for kids and the elderly. Some bacteria can lead to sepsis, a life-threatening blood infection. Others can cause terrifying conditions like hemolytic uremic syndrome or even long-term problems like post-infectious IBS. Getting that fast, accurate diagnosis is the critical first step to preventing these awful outcomes.
So who benefits the most from this? Well, it's absolutely crucial for travelers who might pick up something their bodies have never seen before. It's vital for children under 5 who can get dangerously dehydrated so quickly. For immunocompromised patients whose bodies can't fight off infections on their own, this test is literally a lifeline. And of course, it's an essential tool for public health officials trying to figure out what's causing an outbreak at a school or a restaurant.
And all of this brings us to one final thought. We've spent our whole lives using these vague terms like stomach bug or 24-hour bug, but in an age where a test can tell us, no, you have Norovirus or you have Campylobacter, does a generic kind of dismissive term like just a stomach bug even really exist anymore? It's a small peek into the future of medicine where knowing the precise cause isn't just interesting, it changes everything.